Hi guys, your girl Zoe Cook here. Today, I want to talk about a very important thing. Wreck-It Ralph. You see, I want to talk about a specific character that we all know and somehow don't really know a lot about. King Candy. Now, a lot of you are saying that King Candy was actually just Turbo, but I don't believe that. I believe King Candy was an original character and only a spectator, because his thing he sits on is still there with the words KC on it. Now, I don't know more about him, but everyone claims that he could be and might be Vanellope's father, because Vanellope was a princess, and a princess can only be a princess if she's a monarchy of a king. Now, I'm going to be doing a reaction video, and I want you that claims this theory. Just give me a bit. Alright, see what I have here? This guy says that King Candy was Vanellope's father before Turbo ever took over. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but we do see a file on him. Maybe he was an original character, and we don't know that for sure. But let's get into it and see what he says. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
I don't want to brag or anything,
yeah,
but when it comes to animated films, it's rare they have some sort of big reveal in store that I don't catch on to before it happens. Like Coco, for example, more like called that. Or Big Hero 6, more like big reveal is predictable 6.
Okay.
Frozen. But Wreck-It Ralph was one of those rare films where I was just like, oh, no way. I would go as far to say that it is the perfect reveal. They created the term to go turbo, to have an excuse to give the character Turbo a backstory without making the audience think it was going to be important to the rest of the plot. And then bang! Turbo was the main villain all along. We already know his backstory because they already told us without us knowing how important it was going to be. I honestly believe that Turbo is the most underrated Disney villain of all time. He actually has a really good plan that makes sense with his character that isn't just, alright, I want to take over the entire world, or arcade in this case. For some reason. And today we're going to be digging deeper into Turbo's plan because I found proof that King Candy was a character who existed in Sugar Rush before Turbo attempted to take over.
Oh, that's cute.
Hello there. How are you doing? Okay, so most people assume that when Turbo took over Sugar Rush, he recoded his appearance and became King Candy as a disguise. And this would make sense, because as the film covers, by the time Sugar Rush arrived at the arcade, Turbo was already known for attempting to take over a game. Going Turbo was a commonly used term and a crime. A criminal act.
You're not going Turbo, are you?
Ralph's gone Turbo? Meaning Turbo had well and truly become the villain of the arcade. So if he was to rule a new game, he would have to disguise himself. Enter King Candy. However, there is tons more evidence in favor of there being a character called King Candy already in the game, whom Turbo stole the identity of by overwriting his code. Firstly, let's start with Princess Vanellope. Princess Vanellope. Being a Brit, I consider myself a bit of an expert when it comes to royal families, because, you know, we have a monarch. And by definition, for Vanellope to be a princess, she must be the daughter of the monarch. Of course, Vanellope doesn't have parents, to our knowledge. So how can she be a princess? If she doesn't have parents, that would make her the queen. And before you go, oh, she's just a kid, she can't be queen. There's no minimum age that someone can become king or queen. Take King Edward V, for example. He became king at just 12 years old.
And then died.
He was also killed at 12 years old.
Sad.
But despite this, she's always referred to as Princess Vanellope.
Princess Vanellope.
She's a princess. Oh, that's right.
Implying her character is coded as Princess Vanellope, which means one of her parents must be alive and ruling Sugar Rush. Oh my god, does that mean that King Candy is Vanellope's
bum?
Surely not. But yes, he totally is.
Makes sense.
Presumably killed and replaced by Turbo.
Or he could be somewhere else.
I know some of you probably still aren't sold that King Candy existed BT before Turbo. So I've got another piece of evidence, and this one's a biggie. Salville makes it very clear.
If she crosses the finish line, the game will reset, and she won't be a glitch anymore.
And before this theory, this just seemed like a plot device so everything could be resolved at the end of the film. But I don't think it is, because I don't believe the original King Candy was a playable character. Which firstly helps explain why his face isn't on the side of the games console like Vanilla. But the main reason I believe this is because if you look at the Sugar Rush race course, you'll notice that King Candy's stand is the highest right there. Of all the stands. And some would claim it's the best seat in the house for viewing the races, meaning it doesn't make for very easy access to the track.
Nice throw.
Like the characters inside arcade games coming to life, I'm not on board with that. But King Candy having that good a throw, I'm unwilling to believe that. Like at least make your films realistic, Disney. I guess he does have that weird map thing to get onto the track, but still, that could have easily been brought in by Turbo.
True.
My point is, his stand is located in the very best place to watch the race, and that isn't something you'd need if you're going to be racing every day. So why does he have this stand? Well, because the original King Candy wasn't a playable character and was just the organizer and the most important spectator at the race. Aw, he went to go and show his
that is so
Vanellope.
sweet.
That's so cute. Turbo, you're making it very hard for us.
That's
to
true.
like that. But Turbo
Yeah, he's
didn't
evil.
want to just be a spectator. Turbo wanted to race and win, if that wasn't already.
Yeah, everyone
so he
knew.
had to modify the code to make it so that King Candy could race. And to do that, he had to be added to the game's roster. Unfortunately for him, the game was programmed with the maximum number of roster characters. So King Candy had to remove one of the original roster characters and take their place. And as you know, he chose Vanellope. He attempted to delete her code by pulling the wires out of her box thing, whatever it's called, causing the game to forget she even existed. Which leads us back to about 2 minutes ago when I mentioned Sour Bill saying that if Vanellope crossed the finish line, the game would reset. Because what crossing the finish line during the random roster race would achieve is reminding the game she exists. The game would recognize that she was an eligible racer who was for some reason missing off the racers list. And therefore the game would reset automatically, restoring it to what it was before Turbo tried to delete Vanellope's code. Which is exactly what it does. When the game resets, it looks exactly how it would have looked before Turbo took over. And if that's all well and good, why is
That
King
thing's
Candy's
still there.
stand
Yeah,
for
see?
spectating the races still there? The stand with the letters KC on it was restored when the game reset. Meaning if Turbo had created the character King Candy as a disguise and modified the world to fulfill his every need, surely his creations inside the game would be removed when it reset. Which opens up the question, why wasn't this King Candy stand removed? It wasn't removed because King Candy was a character who existed before Turbo attempted to take over Sugar Rush. And that is 100% proof that King Candy and Turbo were two separate characters at one point. And yes, I can hear the question upon your tongue. Is that correct? I can taste the question upon your tongues.
No.
Seamus, if King Candy was a character in the original code, wouldn't he reappear when the game resets? Well, unfortunately, no. We never get to meet the original King Candy because he was presumably killed so his body could be used as a host for Turbo.
Well, how do we know he's dead?
Before he attempted to delete Vanellope's code. Since he's in King Candy's body when he does that. Therefore, he couldn't come back because he was killed by Turbo. Presumably. We don't actually know the specifics of what happened, but maybe we'll find out in Wreck-It Ralph 2. Anyway, I think there is plenty of evidence supplied towards this theory, and it makes Turbo's plan so much more evil and dark. So with all that evidence, let me take you through Turbo's actual plan right from the start. When the arcade first opened, Turbo was the main character in the most popular game, that game being Turbo Time. A game with 8-bit graphics quality, the best quality graphics from the early 80s. But unfortunately for Turbo, in 1987, 16-bit graphics started to surface. And as you can tell, 16 is bigger than 8, so therefore 16-bit graphics are better and more modern. And with that came a new racing game called Road Blast. And this game became way more popular than Turbo Time. So Turbo, doing what any abandoned game character would do, attempted to join this game. But of course, as Sonic says,
if you die outside your own game,
you don't regenerate. Ever. Game over. I love you, Sonic.
Join the game and leave his one and only life in the hands of anyone who was willing to pay to play it. But Turbo wasn't going to give up there. He had a solution. He attempted to code himself into the new game so he could take over and be played with again. But he failed. The implied reason in the film is that Turbo is coded as an 8-bit character when the game was of course 16. And Turbo's miscalculation to do with the graphics of the game led to him glitching everywhere and caused the game to break. And there's actually evidence of this, because any other time a character goes into another game, they are rendered with the graphics of that game. Like for example, Ralph, who is also an 8-bit character, is rendered with 3D graphics when he enters Heroes Duty. After this, both the games Turbo Time and Road Blasters got unplugged, and Turbo became the criminal of the arcade. He went into hiding, bided his time, and waited till a new racing game came along, which it did when Sugar Rush arrived at the arcade. Turbo had had a lot of time to prepare for his takeover and had learned from his previous mistake. He knew if he was to take over Sugar Rush, he would need to inject his code into another character and use their body as a host and disguise. And obviously he chose the ruler of Sugar Rush, King Candy, because he wanted to be in charge and rule the game. He disposed of King Candy in ways we don't know how and took his place in the game. The only thing was, King Candy wasn't a playable character. He had to take someone's place as a racer and chose the king's own daughter, Princess Vanellope, and attempted to delete her code so she could never race again. He failed at that though, causing her to become a glitch and the game forgetting she existed. Turbo knew if she ever raced again, the game would reset, so he turned the entire game against her, convincing everyone else the game would be put out of order if she was allowed to race. And then he locked her inside the game so she couldn't go looking for help from people from other games. Meaning Turbo didn't just kill Vanellope's father, he also isolated her and made her the most hated person in the Candy Kingdom for 15 years, until Ralph accidentally came barreling in on an escape pod to save the game. And that is why I believe that Turbo is the most underrated villain in Disney history. But that's all I have for you guys today. I really like this theory, so I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to leave a like. Go follow me on Twitter, because why not? And Instagram, because also why not? Subscribe to my channel by clicking here. Watch another video by clicking here. Check out the Twitter and Instagram I was just talking about in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. So we're agreed that Turbo's the most underrated Disney villain of all time now, right?
Yeah. See what I mean, guys? He is literally maybe Vanellope's father. Now, I don't know anything about King Candy, but I'm hoping that in the future, like a new movie of Wreck-It Ralph or something, maybe we get King Candy back, the original one. A lot of people are claiming that Vanellope is not King Candy's daughter. But it makes sense. If Vanellope is a princess, then she would have to be the daughter of King Candy. Because he's a king. That raises me so many questions. Which is why I'm hoping for like a Wreck-It Ralph third movie or a series or something. If anyone knows the creator of Wreck-It Ralph, could please talk to him about this idea? Because this is killing me. Because I'm so confused. Is King Candy really Vanellope's father or not? I mean, it makes sense if he was, and that stand is still there, meaning that he was an original character. That must mean that King Candy is still out there. He could still be alive, and he could still be worried about his daughter. Now, this is my video of my idea and what I think. So if you guys agree with this, please like and subscribe. Comment down below if you do agree. And I will see you all next time. And please do talk or send a letter to the creator telling him about this idea. Because I will not rest until we find out. And plus it does make sense. So, goodbye everyone.